In this video, I'll go over the color scheme that I use everywhere on my system. It used to be Catppuccin, but I recently switched over to Eldritch, so I'm going to show you where I set it up and how I do so. Notice first, tmux. Notice the colors that I have here are related to the color scheme, and this window that is not focused is not as bright. Notice that when I enter tmux command mode, it turns purple. And there's a few other things that I configured that I'll show you right now. You will notice that I'm using the Catppuccin theme, as you can see here. The only thing that I did is modify the colors. I'm going to leave a link to my .files in the video description in case you want to grab this configuration and apply it yourself. If we scroll down on this file, you'll be able to find the colors section here. I left the heading here, Eldritch colors, and this is the active window. It's the one that you see here. The one that is not active is the one here. If you want to change the color of the lines that separate tmux splits, you can do so here as well. This status fill is what makes this all green. If you don't want that, you can set it to icon and it's gonna look the way that it normally looks. When I enter command mode, this is what modifies the color. This is the purple when I'm in command mode and green when I'm in normal mode in tmux. This white is what you see here on the application names. And if you wanna show a message when the panes are synchronized, this is not enabled by default, but I added it this way. So I'm gonna synchronize the panes right now. You notice that the message shows up here, synchronized panes in purple. This is the way that I achieved that. Okay, so that was tmux. As you can tell, every line is well documented, so you understand what's going on and how to change stuff. I also use the same color scheme in Neovim. Let me open the color scheme file. So I'm going to open this eldritch.lua file. Here it is. Here's the repo. Here's the plugin. I left the link here. I'm not going to go there real quick so you can take a look at it. If you like it, start it, and you can go over the repo if you want to have a better idea on how Neovim looks. If you go out of this repo and go to the main directory, you'll be able to find how to set it up in different tools. As you can see here, Western, VS Code, and a lot of other places. Some changes that I personally applied to the Neovim color scheme, you'll be able to find them here. Diff change and diff delete. This is when I use nvim spectre to modify stuff in files. This is the line that goes across where the cursor is, the line that you see here. This is where I also set the color of bold text. If I go to this file and I make this bold, notice that that's where the color is set. I'm just going to undo this and I'll go back to the other file. Some other things that I changed, the spell colors, modify them here as well. These colors are used by the mini-files plugin. I'm going to make a change to this file. Now I'm going to open mini-files, and this is the green color that you see here on the left hand side. And in case that you want to override the colors globally, you can do that here. I changed the comment colors because I was having issues trying to differentiate the comments with the color that comes with the original theme. Now moving on to the next thing that I modified. That was my starship prompt. Let me go to my home directory. I'm just going to switch to that tmux session. As you can see here, I switched. Notice the colors that I have here in my prompt. I'm going to switch to another directory, to the .files latest directory. You can notice that I have the same colors. Let me show you where this is. Here I have the file starship-eldritch.toml. I have it here. This is where I specify the colors and my starship prompt as well. Again, this is in my .files. I'm going to leave a link to the video description if you want to grab it there. Now moving on to the next thing that I modified, the FCF colors. Let me switch back to my home directory. I'm going to open FCF. Notice the colors that show up here. I'm just going to look for something, readme. Notice that you'll be able to see the colors match the theme. Also, instead of searching for a file with FCF, I search for my last entered commands. You'll be able to see that this matches as well. Where did I modify this? Again, in my .files. I'm going to open my CSHRC file. You can see it here. I'm going to search for FCF. Here's the FCF section. Let me go down a little bit. This is where I specify the colors. I found this information in the Eldritch repo. I just made a few changes that I like better. But you modify this in your CSHRC file or bashrc file, depending on what you use. Moving on to the next thing, notice at the top of the file, I have SketchyBar. Notice the colors that it has. They match my color scheme. Notice the blue, green. If you don't know what SketchyBar is, or if you don't know how to set it up in macOS, I have a video in which I go over every single thing in detail. You'll be able to find that video in the top right corner. But let me show you where I specify those colors. I'm just going to look for the file. Notice my search, SketchyBar color, and it's this file down here. This is the one for my current theme. I'm going to open that. I'm going to scroll down here. This is Catppuccin in case you want to apply those colors. And here's where I set the Eldritch theme colors. Just modify them here. Moving on to the next item, Alacritty. Here's my alacritty.toml file. Notice that here I set the theme, eldritch.toml. This is also in my .files. Let me open mini.files. Here you'll be able to find the themes. And here is Catppuccin, which is the one that I used. Dracula, I used that way before. And here's Eldritch. So you can grab that file there as well. Now, a little disclaimer here. I don't use Alacritty anymore. I switched to Kitty a few months ago. And the only reason is because Kitty allows me to view and paste images in Neovim. If you want to learn more on how I do that, you'll be able to find the video on the top right corner. I explain everything that needs to be done in detail. So you can have an experience similar to what you have in Obsidian, but in Neovim. Since I use Kitty now, I also modify the color scheme there. Let me search for that file. Here it is, kitty.conf. If you want to learn where these files are located, you will be able to see the path here at the top. Here is the theme. I think this already comes installed in Kitty by default. Honestly, I don't remember, but the file is here. If we go to themes, and I scroll down a little bit, here's Eldritch. Gonna close out of here. I also set this color scheme for my markdown files. Let me open a file real quick. Okay, so notice that I opened another file here. Notice the colors of the headings. Notice that in this file, I can view images, even load images from URLs, as you can see here. Notice the colors of the headings. This is a heading 2. I have a heading 3 here and a heading 4. So all of them match my color scheme. I recently switched over to this markdown.lua plugin. So that's where I set them up. Here is where I specify the color variables for the different headings. They match the Eldritch color scheme. And here's where I modified them as well. Here's backgrounds, foregrounds. And again, you'll be able to find all of this in my .files. The link is going to be in the video description. Remember that this is the path where this file is. Before this markdown.nvim plugin, I used the headlines.nvim plugin. Let me open that file real quick. Headlines.lua. Here is the file. I disabled this. Notice that I changed the name to .old, so this is not even active. But this is where I configured the colors back then. And they match the Eldritch theme as well. Modified a few other things here, so you can go over this in case that you use the headlines.nvim plugin. You will also be able to tell that my lualine matches the color scheme. There's a few extra things that I added here, and I had to modify the colors for those as well. Let me show you the file real quick so you can take a look. Here is my lualine plugin. Again, the path for this file is here, and here's where I modified some things. I add file permissions. I also specify the host name, as you can see that here. Specify the color for that, and also for spell check. I have that enabled in my markdown files. And down here is where I specify the colors for spell, which is the blue and the green from the Eldritch theme. Let me show you where my .files are real quick. I'm just gonna open them here. Here they are. If you like them, star them. Also, if you like the way that my markdown files look, I have a video in which I go over each one of the markdown tips and plugins that I use. If you edit a lot of markdown files, I think you're gonna find it useful. Let me know what you think about this color scheme. Also, let me know which one you use down in the comments. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.